Hello everybody, welcome back to some more Fate 12. Last time we left off, we were looking at the diary. Rink, not Rinka, Miharu figured out Federico's regret card. Federico is going to India. Oh my god, I'm so out of it right now. Let's just go to the studio. I've decided to pick up where I left off tomorrow. I head up to my room.
Che. 柄にもなくすがすがしい気分だ。あれだけ飲んだくせに二日酔いもありゃしね。しかし美晴は本当に一杯で帰りやがったな。あいつを好きになる男が俺以外に現れたら
I think you mean
さぞかし苦労するんだろうな。
The next girl. Federico chats aloud on a near empty train. His destination, the airport. He finds himself thinking back on his life during the ride. Born in southern Italy, his life was an word I cannot pronounce, of failures. As a child, he was often bullied. He was as thin back then as he was now. Only shorter it left him with no real means to defend himself. His attempts at retaliation resulted only in further beatdowns, both physical and verbal. He became a child who knew the taste of defeat well. At the same time, his parents had settled on a divorce after dealing with a lot of friction. Federico wanted to stay with his mother. There was no deep reason behind it, he simply liked being around her more at the time. But even those feelings were linked to failure. Divorce was due to an affair on the mother's side. Naturally, Federico had no involvement in it, but he considered his choice a failure regardless. His mother opted to move in with the man she was seeing and eventually married him. The wedding ring wasn't something she left to Federico. He snatched it when it tumbled out of the garbage. Even so, he couldn't bring himself to part with it, as it represented his desire to see her once more. 20 years later, he finally realized that it served to symbolize his inability to win his mother's love.
大切な指輪かと思っていたが、捨てちまってみると大して感傷も湧かないぜ。母ちゃんがゴミ箱に捨てた時もこんな気持ちだったのかもしれないな。
The first time she started dating someone was just after entering high school. She was a frank girl, one who always dragged him around at her whim. While things already appeared steady between them, it was all for nothing when she had to move away. Putting aside what he thought of those events, his high school life was nothing but failure when he was no longer the target of bullying. He was surrounded by people far more skilled than him in the sock club. No matter how hard he tried to suppress them, he never would manage. Even when he put his all into studying, he was never once able to get the best grade in class. Compounding these with the failures of his childhood led Federico to become a child who would always hold himself back, not that he was aware of it. Much like how he was never aware of the misfortune it continued to cause him later in life. His fear of failure led to his decision to not apply to any universities, a reality that he continually denied. Instead, he started up his own business. This choice was spurred on by his father's death, which left him with a fairly large inheritance. The business itself wasn't complicated. Anyone with a good amount of money could have their hands on it. He loaned money to those who were struggling, attached a hefty interest rate, and then collected what he was owed at a later date. Of course, he made sure to choose his business partners well. People who couldn't inform the police of his activities due to their having multiple debts of criminal records. In other words, those who had experienced failure on an even greater level than him. There were a number of ways to deal with those who wouldn't pay up. He could force them to visit other loan sharks, lay claim to whatever valuables they had, or simply beat the money out of them. In terms of profit, he was doing somewhat well for himself until he ran into an issue that money couldn't solve. That was, he had been conducting business with the mafia's territory. Ooh. Naturally, they weren't pleased. Those who crossed the mafia were likely to be whacked with the snap of a finger.
今思えばあのゴリラ女の方がよっぽど恐ろしかったぜ。
In the end, Federico's first ever business venture resulted in a failure. There was only one way for him to escape his situation. He presented the profits he made to one of the mafia's higher-ups and became a member himself. He never held any significant position there, but his abilities allowed him to bring a fair amount of money into the organization. He even began targeting landowners, convincing them to give up their land in exchange for social status. There was one issue, however: a majority of the money he made was funneled straight to the higher-ups, which ticked him off. That led him to laundering the organization's money by transferring it to a bank in Switzerland. He set his eyes on a certain shipping company too, one he had dealt with before. Of course, it was no ordinary shipping company. They dealt in weapons, stolen goods, and much more. Oh, this company. The boat itself was stateless, but its representative was a woman from France. They were effectively a group of independent mercenaries.
今思えば俺みたいのをよく乗せてくれたもんだ。
Having discussed things with the captain of the ship, that being Odette Macaline, he settled on fleeing the country. The mafia itself was essentially a family-run business. Federico would never make it to the top in that environment, regardless of how hard he tried. Even so, the members had to make blood oath upon joining, or to quit. All that awaited them was prison. Of course, one could not simply quit the mafia and expect to live. And thus, fearing failure once more, he chose to flee, only for the ship to be targeted by pirates, leading to both his and Odette's death.
死んでからも負けてばっかじゃざまあねえな。
By reflecting on his path, Federico is able to lull himself to sleep until he arrives at his next stop. His mind is only on one thing: to gather as much information about Alan as possible before returning to Japan on Sunday morning. But he has yet to notice, though his life may have been steeped in failure, he's never given in. He's always struggled against that which most people simply accepted. Federico Carminati is no loser in the game of life. I made sure to open the store today after school. I have been feeling better now that my grand's room is all neat and tidy. Once closing time comes around, I got to my usual routine before bringing the diary downstairs to read it. As always, I make sure to handle it with the utmost care. And then I delve even deeper into the daily lives of Linda and Diana. Federico? No, Alan. Alan finds himself staring at a hotel today. It isn't unusual for him to switch to one over the warehouse in Yokohama every now and then. The warehouse is perfectly fine for him. It does lack the facilities required to recharge his phone and laptop, however. Not that he can't deny the pleasure that comes from sleeping on a comfortable bed.
今日は行かなかったな。
While he had made the decision to visit Rinka yesterday, the store she was running was closed. Today, on the other hand, he simply couldn't bring himself to go. This proof was needed for the butterfly effect of one missing one's opportune moment. This would be it. It would have no influence on Alan's under normal circumstances, yet he finds himself unable to cooperate as usual when it comes to Rinka.
おそらく今度が最後の。
He collapses onto his bed and casts his mind back to the first participant he eliminated. Oh, that lady. I don't know who she was, but
ようやく会えたわね。
Chan. Her name is Chan. May 3rd, Sunday, 3 days following the conjuncture of the casualty. Alan had been called out by a lone woman. Alan had received the explanation about divine selection from Parker by this point, but he chose not to go to Japan until after the first round. This woman standing before him was Chan. She was the one that caused him to forego his decision and instead come earlier. It wasn't unusual for people he didn't know to request appointments with him considering his position. These requests were typically ignored, however, he had no choice but to take notice when she brought up a divine selection over the phone. While still somewhat suspicious, it was here he learned that a small number of people found themselves in the same situation as him.
来てくれて嬉しいわ、ミスター・アラン。
She stood a few meters away from him, her tone as confident as they came. In Alan's eyes, she seemed nothing like a more average woman in her early 20s. Her prayer was simple, but what one would expect of someone on vacation.
なぜ僕のことを知っている？いや、 僕が選定の参加者であることを知っている。
あなたの名前が有名なことくらい自分で分かっているんじゃないの？2つ目の質問にはそうね、答えてあげるわ。私の初期カードのうち1枚があんたの使命。あんたみたいな変な名前そう多くはいないものね。でもね、あんたのことは昔から知っていたのよ。ウィリアム・リュウという男を知っているかしら？
知らないな。
そうだと思ったわ。ウィリアム、ビルはあなたの会社とも取引がある広告会社の営業担当よ。あなたとも会ったことがあると言っていたけれど、どうやら社長様は取るに足らない下請け業者のことなんて覚えていないようね。
I'm guessing Chan was Bill's or Bill William, whatever his name is, girlfriend, sister, or soon to be wife or something like that, and she was the one, I remember correctly, she was calling to him, saying, Bill, save me, Bill, something like that. The more the woman spoke, the less Alan cared to be bothered. He was never very good with these type, the ones who gradually drifted off topic the longer they spoke. Were she a regular businesswoman, he would have been long gone.
私はそのビルの婚約者よ。
Bill's fiance, I was right.
要件を早く話してくれないか、ミセスちゃん。
あれ？あれ？どうして私の名前をあんたが知ってるのよ。私、名前話してないよね。
君はわざわざ僕の会社に電話をしてきただろ。偽名を使ったようだが、せめて非通知でかけてくるべきだったな。
はい？
After he said that, Alan took out a single card. Chan was quite familiar with the card's design. V1 named Chan Chan. She wasn't aware of the significance behind the numeral yet, but it was clear that her own name was written on it.
新しくカードが生まれる瞬間を僕はすでに目撃している。
ちょっとそんなのずるくない？個人情報とかどうなってんのよ。
Alan remained silent in the face of her panic. He was aware that nothing could come from interacting with her as if things were normal.
でも名前でしょ？私なんてありふれた名前だし、どうせすぐにバレちゃうよ。そんなことより、
ちゃんちゃん、貴様の死因は転落死だな。
How did he know?
嘘！どうしてあんたが知ってんのよ。
It was simple, really. V1 caused the death fell to their death. He was unable to determine who the card belonged to at the time, as he had yet to meet anyone else in the court of fate. However, he soon realized that each participant had an identifying numeral after he came to possess Chan's name card. He had anticipated this by nature of his personal cards containing the numeral X11, but with this, he was able to confirm it. Once he knew that Chan was number V1, he was able to link her cause of death and name.
私もしかして大事なこと言っちゃってた？
Her regret was not marrying her fiancé, I'm guessing. Her carelessness was a source of irritation for Alan.
使命を軽んじているならば、その考えは改めた方がいい。ただし、来世ではな。
Alan was already an atheist, but the teachings of his parents seemed to carry a lingering influence on him.
何よ。あんたはまだ私の未練を分かっていないはず。それに
婚前旅行というのか。ただの旅行なのか知らないが、貴様はウィリアムと登山を楽しんでいた。登山といえど本格的なものではなく、ほとんどピクニック。しかし貴様たちは好奇心に負け、ルートを外れて崖の方へと向かった。そちらの方が景色がいいと思ったようだな。
あんたなんで知ってんのよ。まさかストーカー？ けどネクラっぽいから無理。そもそも私はビル一筋なんだから。
おそらくこの転落死というのはその時に足を滑らせたか何かだろうな。わざわざ立ち入り禁止の場所へ行ってその結末というのは愚かというほかはない。
さいわね。っていうか早くなんで私のことをそんなに知ってるのか教えなさいよ。
心当たりはないのか、動転して見失っているのか。
Alan managed to gather as much information on China as he could the moment he learned her name. He was entirely convinced that divine selection was real, but the creation of the cards and the existence of a card book that removed all language barrier convinced him not to deny it outright. The information provided won with the upper hand when negotiating. That was the conclusion Alan had reached. It was why he did everything he could to gather information on not only her, but her fiance William as well, though he wouldn't admit to such a thing. Half of what he had told her was information she herself had made public via rampant social media posts and updates. While the results of her fall had clearly been undone, it wasn't difficult for him to put the pieces together based on the information he had at the time at hand.
いいわ。もう遊びは終わりにしましょう。
China wiped the sweat from her brow before whipping out a knife. It was a butcher's knife, about 20 centimeters length. Her intent was as clear as day.
私は生き残りたいのよ。ビルとの新婚生活が待ってるんだから。
Yeti, he can't die. She raises the knife before dashing towards Alan. A mere 5 meters separated them. She would reach him at her speed in an instant. Shan was confident in her speed thanks to her having played tennis since childhood. What's more, Alan was the stereotypical rich boy. He had no means to defend himself, or so she thought.
女神の選定の参加者は死なないと。
Alan dodged her with ease before twisting her wrist and stealing the knife from her grasp. Surprise! He kept hold of her wrist, however, and brought the knife to rest against her neck.
あれ、なんでこんな状況？ちょっと待とうよ。
信じていないというところか。もっともこの点に関しては僕も試していないから信じてはいない。
私やばくない？この状況やばくない？だってさ、それで首の血管を切られたら私死ぬよ。
Alan could hardly believe the words coming out of this woman's mouth after her own attempt to stab him. He knew that it would be no point in calling her out for it, however.
試してみるか。
やだよ。助けて！
The story Charlie began to describe what transpired next. Just as Chan screamed, William leapt out of hiding. He attempted to jump Alan, but Alan used Chan as a human shield. William could make no move in that situation, so Alan threw the knife away and pushed Chan towards him. They both fell over as she slammed into him, causing Alan to look down on both.
ミスター・ウィリアム、今晩は最後の時を過ごすことだな。
Saying that, he took out a third card. Marry life.
私の
12人の中で君が最も愚かな参加者であろうな。
Alan had lost all interest in Chan by that point. He picked up the knife and tossed it back to them. The last thing he wanted to do was to raise suspicion by carrying it around when he only had arrived in Japan. Neither Chan nor William saw this as an opportunity either. Their instinct fear of him had taken over. Not even a gun would make them feel as though they stood on equal footing with him. Alan had no interest in what they did following that event.
この倉庫は使えるな。
Not only was it abandoned, but no one else seemed to be squatting here either. It's neither too close nor too far away from the city. Should everything check out over the next few days, he would use it as his base of operations.
今なら あの必死さだけは理解できなくもないか。
Alan lets his thoughts slip out as he stares at the hotel room ceiling. Two hours after I began reading, I made it through another fifth of the diary, I guess. Where the diary of a girl living through the end of Meiji period is interested in its own. The structure is inherently different from a novel. That makes the process of reading it pretty tiring. I did come across an interesting tidbit, albeit one really unrelated to divine selection.
リンダさんたちも黒猫を飼ってたんだな。
It's the same cat, Rinka. It had a leisurely attitude and seemed to be attached to Diana than Linda. It would appear and disappear when it saw fit. By the sense of it, it could have been Leaf's great-great-grandcat. They called it Leo, which is pretty similar to Leaf. One diary entry was about how he once stepped on a piece of broken glass, leaving a scar on the part of its front right leg. Speak of the devil, it's Leaf.
あんたもガラスには気をつけてね。実は踏んじゃってたりしないよね。
I tried to approach, but Leaf runs off. Must have sensed something annoying was about to happen. I assume it's fine if I can still sprint like that. If they can still sprint, sorry. Following that, I close the diary and head back to my room. Once in bed, I start to think about what I should do from here on out. Let's put things into perspective. I have three main concerns at the moment. First and first, most importantly, finding a means for both Mihiru and me to survive. I've yet to reach a conclusion, but I'm sure that figuring out the mysteries behind divine selection itself is the right approach. I can say for sure whether or not I've made any progress until I finish reading Linda's diary. The second concern is gathering information on Alan. This is a difficult one as well, especially when I don't understand his goal. I know for a fact that he holds no hostility towards me, but I hardly think he's willing to let me eliminate him just because of that. That's why I need to discuss things with him. I have no way to contact him, but something tells me that he'll come see me soon. My third and final concern is Federico. I know both his name and cause of death, but I have nothing to go on for us to regret. I've never talked to him in person, so that makes things even more difficult.
あれ
Just then I received a text message. It's from Mihiru. I've gathered all of Federico's information. My shift starts later tomorrow. Starts later tomorrow. So you mind if I come to Lionhouse after school? The message itself is short, but I can't help but be amazed at her perfect timing. The text back, that works for me. I figure I can use that time to talk to her about the diary as well. I haven't hit a dead end quite yet. Forcing myself to believe that, I set my mind on getting some sleep. Mihiru and I head to Lionhouse once classes have ended.
あれ今日は羊さんはいないのかい？用事があるみたい。必要なことなら明日にでも伝えておくよ。
It's pretty rare for Mihiru to ask about Naomi. Divine selection requires us to fight our own fate, so maybe best change perspective on Naomi at some point. There wasn't much to what she said, but I could tell there was a slight difference in her attitude towards her. Anyway, it's just the two of us. Ma probably told her I'm waiting a bit longer before giving my answer, but even then it feels a bit awkward to be alone with her. Thirty minutes after we arrive at Lionhouse, Mihiru leaves for work. We didn't discuss much, but she told me how she met Federico Monday night and how she was able to deduce his regret from what they talked about. It didn't happen right away, but everything fell into place Tuesday night, and she led her to being able to materialize the card. I didn't ask about the card's contact, but I asked her to fill me in later, on the off chance that he's gathered information on me as well. He seems to have no intention of electing me according to her, but it can't hurt to be safe. I made sure to show Mihiru the diary too. Its existence took her by surprise just as much as it did for me. I told her that I passed any worthwhile information over to her once I'm done reading it. Just before she left, she offered her thoughts on it.
その日記帳は僕にはどこか
切り札のようなものに見える。
There's no basis to claim, but I can agree. I happen to agree. After she left, I opened the store up for business. Alan comes in, doesn't he? Never mind.
おはよう、マオ。
Dang, it's already Thursday.
おはよう。ああ、来週から期末とか鬱になりそう。
その話はやめて。
Not to brag, I haven't studied in the slightest ever since midterms. Midterms weren't much of an issue for me since they happened soon after the divine selection began. But the same can't be said for finals. I actually considered using my card book to cheat my way through the English exam at least, but only total loser cheat. Shh, I'm a loser. It's a fact that I don't have the time to study though. That's when I receive a text message. You're not technically allowed to mess with your phone on campus, but I'll break the rule today. It's for my gran. I heard that the finals coming up. Forget about the store for now and focus on studying. Make sure you send me your results too. Ugh.
エスパー？
なになに？おばあちゃんから怒られた？
Yes.
マオまでエスパーしないで。
A mere employee can't ignore the boss' order. It's impossible to keep the store going without keeping in contact with her too. Running the store serves as a nice change of pace, so now I'm depressed. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll keep reading the diary as usual, but I guess I can avoid failing if I use the time I normally would on the store for studying. In worst case scenario, I'll ignore English and use my card book. No, bad Rinka. Regular life sure can be difficult. Choose the book, Rinka. Who cares? Ow. Once school has ended for the day, I return home to study. I put out an announcement about how the store would be officially closed until the week after. Seems like one of my teachers got in touch with Grant after realizing that I probably wasn't studying this time around. They're aware of my circumstances at home, so I can understand why they get in contact. No teacher can ignore a student's poor grade. I'll have to keep on top of studying once divine selection is over as well. Otherwise, I won't be allowed to keep running the store.
ナオミ、そろそろ休憩しない？
Sorry, senpai.
ダメです。まだ30分しかやってないじゃないですか。
なんか今日のナオミ厳しい。
すいません。でも先輩がそこまで勉強が苦手だったとは知らなくって。
受験の時は目的があったからよかったんだけど、日々のテストのためって言うとどうしても。
ちょっと意外です。まあでも前に英語の問題を出した時悲惨でしたもんね。
Naomi's doing some considerable damage to my morale today. Not like I can blame her. Her upperclassman is acting pretty pathetic.
三原は今日もバイト。女神の選定のことを考えながらいつ勉強してるんだろう。
もう人それぞれです。先輩、1時間頑張ったら休憩って。
うん、頑張る。
There's no point in avoiding it, so I decided to stick my head into some books. I used to study with Mel a lot during our first year, but we normally ended up chatting. In that regard, properly studying with someone like this is a pretty novel experience. I don't want to disappoint Naomi either, so I'll focus for at least this first hour.
さすがです先輩。じゃあ少し休憩にしましょう。
Thank goodness. An hour and a half later, Naomi finally offers me entrance to the oasis known as the Break. It was supposed to happen about at the 1 hour mark, but I couldn't bring myself to mention it when the time came. Knowing her, she probably didn't want to interrupt me because she thought I was focused. Equally admirable and depressing considering that wasn't the case at all. We spend the break talking and snacking. The topic switches to my selection at some point. I tell about how Miru has gathered all of Federico's information and about the diary I found. After mentioning it, I head upstairs to grab it. I place it down right beside my card book. It's almost like a before and after comparison.
これなんだけど。
100年以 同じ想定ですね。それも手作りなら私たちが調べても見つからないわけです。
Alrighty, well, this is where I'm gonna get it off. I will see you lovelies in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.